A viewer asked me to make a tutorial for that premium photo roll effect, but in a way that even beginners can create it for themselves. Well, I accept the challenge. Start by dropping a Fusion composition on your timeline. By default, it's 5 seconds long. Just expand it a little. An 8 to 10 second Fusion comp is more than enough for this effect. Now open it in Fusion. You will only see media out all by itself. Grab a background node and connect it to the media out to complete the chain. Alright, now we are ready to build on this canvas. Set the alpha of the background node to 0. Now, something important to remember. If you just drag and drop a PNG from the media pool, your macro will not work. So instead, press Shift plus space and load your images through a loader node if you plan to turn this into a macro. Perfect. Select the background node, add a merge, and connect the loader to the green input of that merge. Now grab a rectangle mask and connect it to the blue input of the loader. Set the width and height to 1 so we can see the full image and nothing gets cropped. Set the corner radius to around 0.25 for a clean modern UI look. And soften the edges just a tiny bit. If you are having trouble styling the image on the checkerboard background, just give your main background node a color. That makes it much easier to see what you are doing. You can remove it later. Now select the loader node and add a transform after it so we can control the size. Reduce size a bit. We want enough breathing space so 3 photos can sit side by side comfortably. Alright, now select the transform, add a drop shadow, keep the shadow subtle. I'm gonna make it fall slightly below the image and reduce the drop distance a bit. That looks good. Now let's give this photo a gentle up and down motion so it stays alive and keeps viewers engaged. Select the transform, add frame 0, tweak the center X and Y just a little, and add a keyframe. Jump to frame 30 and bring those values down slightly. Now open the spline editor, check show only selected tools, make your transform node is selected, hit zoom to fit, select both keyframes and press S to smooth the motion. To make this motion loop forever, with the keyframe still selected, set it to ping pong. And boom, we have just created an endless loop with one click. Now we don't want to repeat all of this work for the next photos. Just copy this entire node setup and paste it as many times as you need. For this tutorial, I will use 7 photos. But honestly, you could do this with 50 or even 100 because the hard work is already done. Once all of them are plugged into the node tree, you probably won't see anything yet because all the photos are stacked on top of each other. Now select the second loader and load the second photo. Select the next loader and load the next photo. Do the same for the remaining loader nodes. This is exactly why we are using loader nodes. Macro.setting files don't store media, so the macro can still link images through these loaders. And later when you expose the file name control while creating the macro, you will be able to swap photos with single click. Once all photos are loaded, select the first merge and move the first photo to the left using the center X. The second photo is already in the right place. Now select merge 3 and move that photo to the right. At this stage, we are just arranging photos in the correct order. Now select merge 4. Here's the problem. We can't see this photo once it goes off screen, so it's hard to judge spacing. Let's fix that. First, change the background color to black and keep the alpha at 0. Now select merge 7 and add a transform after it and move that photo way off screen. Then move the 6th photo after that, then the 5th, and finally the 4th. With those out of the way, select the master transform and move everything to the left to make some room. Now select merge 4 and place that photo in the center. Select merge 5 and adjust its photo as well. Again, move everything using the master transform and position the remaining photos using their merge nodes. Make sure spacing between the photos is consistent. You can turn on guides, but for now I will just use the checkerboard pattern as a visual guide. Once that's done, reset the center X of the master transform back to 0.5 and we are ready to animate this whole thing. Select the master transform, add frame 0, push center X to the right so all the photos are off screen and add a keyframe. Move forward about 20 frames and slide center X to the left or just type 0.5 for precision. Move forward about 30 frames and add a keyframe. This gives us a 1 second hold. Now move about 20 frames forward and slide the photos left. So the left photo exits and a new one enters from the right. Move forward 30 frames and add another keyframe for a hold. Again, move 20 frames forward and slide the photos left. Then 30 frames forward, add a keyframe. Repeat this pattern. 20 frames of movement, 30 frames of hold, until the final photo is revealed. Before we have a look, open the spline editor, zoom to fit, select all the keyframes and press S to smooth them. You can tweak the handles if you want more control. I will also make the entry animation a bit snappier. Let's take a look. So far so good. But right now there is nothing guiding the viewer's eye. All photos feel equally important. So let's fix that. Select the transform for the second photo. This part is crucial if you care about the feel of the animation. Go to frame just before this photo reaches the center. Add a keyframe on size. Move forward about 15 frames and increase the size slightly. Just enough so it stands out. Now scrub to the frame where the photo starts moving left again. Add a keyframe on size. Move forward 15 frames and return it to the base size. Right click the transform and choose Edit Splines. Make sure only size is checked. Zoom to fit. Select the keyframes and press S. I will tweak the handles just a little. Now this next step is very important. This is what separates a cheap template from a premium effect. We could repeat this process for every photo, but that would be slow, messy, and inconsistent. Even a tiny spline difference will make the motion feel uneven. So instead, we take a professional shortcut. Copy the transform we just animated, select the next transform, go to size, right click, and paste settings. This pastes everything, including the spline animation. Now open the keyframes editor, zoom to fit, expand the transform node so you can see the size animation. Now move the playhead to the frame where the previous photo's size starts shrinking. Now drag the size animation bar so its first keyframe lines up with the playhead. Now repeat this process, copy the transform, paste settings on the next one, go to keyframes editor, line up the size animation with the outgoing photo. I'm gonna speed up this part. At this point, you can see how powerful keyframes editor really is. Let's preview. Looks pretty cool. But to really make this a premium effect, we want the side photos to be slightly blurred and the center photo to stay sharp. That way, the viewer's attention naturally goes to the middle. And if we add blur nodes to every photo, we would need a ton of keyframes. So let's do it with 0 keyframes. Select the master transform and add a Gaussian blur. Grab a rectangle mask and resize it so it only covers the center photo. Connect it to the blue input of the blur, soften the edges slightly, check invert, and boom. Only the side photos are blurred. Adjust the blur strength if needed. Let's check it. Yup, working perfectly. Finally, select the master transform, go to the frame where the animation finishes, add a keyframe on center, move forward about 10 frames, and slide the photos off screen. Open the spline editor, select the last 2 keyframes, and smooth them. Let's take a final look. Looks pretty good to me. If you found this helpful, consider giving the video a like and subscribe.